Hi, welcome back to The Single Cook. My name is Tiffany and this is my channel. It's based on recipes for 1 to 2 people, maybe with an extra serving for leftovers. And I am learning as I go. Sometimes my recipes are going to be just perfect and they're going to be the right amount. Sometimes they're going to be a little bit more and I'm going to catch myself off guard. So welcome back to our channel. Today we are doing a 1-pot recipe with Italian soup. So we are going to be using that big Dutch oven that we've used before. We're going to be using familiar ingredients like the kielbasa sausage from the jambalaya recipe, the onion that we've used throughout all of my recipes, and a few more new ones like carrots and Israeli couscous. That is something that we haven't used here yet, but we're going to be adding it to our soup today. So feel free to cook along, or feel free to just save this recipe and make it later on for yourself or people you like. You can always scale it up. You can always scale it down. It's up to you, depending on how much you like soup. We are also going to be adding things like garlic bread and Parmesan cheese at the end, so feel free to get that ready as well. Okay, we'll see you in a bit. Let's get cooking. Okay, so today we are doing a 1-pot Italian soup. So let me go ahead and get my burner going. And I have my big Dutch oven, as usual. I love this thing. It's the best purchase that I've ever made. It's just the right size for anything large that I want to do. So today we're going to start with a little bit of olive oil. And we're going to put that in the bottom of our pot. Just a couple tablespoons. Okay. And to that I'm going to add my kielbasa sausage. Now this is the same sausage that I used in the jambalaya video. And I've just sliced it. I didn't dice it this time. So we're going to pop that in there and get that going. I'm also going to add to the pot 2 medium carrots that I have peeled and added the scraps to my scrap bag to make a stock later on. And then I've cut them into like half moon shapes. That's just the shape I prefer. Now, if you don't want to use fresh carrots because you have a ton of canned carrots, that works just fine as well. There's nothing wrong with using canned vegetables. I'm also going to be adding the last third of that large onion that I sliced and diced up the other day. So I'm going to add all of that. And again, if you want to use frozen onions, that is perfectly fine as well. That is an excellent cheat. Saves you from having to do all of the dicing yourself and saves you the tears. So I'm going to give that a stir and get those all coated. Now I'm not seasoning this just yet because that sausage does have a lot of salt content. So I'm not going to be adding salt at this time. Okay, and we're going to let that cook down for a few minutes until my carrots start to soften, my onions get translucent, and that sausage starts to brown. Okay, it's been a couple of minutes, and my carrots are starting to get soft, my onions are starting to get translucent, and that sausage is starting to brown. It is definitely releasing a bunch of grease and fat, which is making the vegetables a little bit more flavorful. So at this point, I'm going to add in my garlic, and I use the jarlic. So I'm going to do a couple of bladefuls, well, probably just one, of that minced garlic. And again, why spend all the time peeling and mincing garlic if you don't have to? I'm also going to add in my seasonings. Now I'm using 3 seasonings right now. I'm going to be using Italian seasoning, I'm going to be using crushed red pepper flakes, and garlic powder. I don't have any measurements listed on the recipe card at the end of the video. That's because I'm just going to eyeball it. Probably about a teaspoon of the Italian seasoning. We're going to do about the same of garlic powder, although I just kind of shimmy it around. I like a lot of garlic, and I've already added that minced garlic, so if you don't want to put that much garlic in, you don't have to. And I'm going to do a couple of shakes of the chili flakes to get just a little bit of heat in there. And if you like more heat, you can add more heat. You can also, at this time, add other things, like if you wanted to add celery, if you wanted to add green beans, if you wanted to do a different meat, you could absolutely do that. Okay. I'm going to let that get fragrant for a minute. Make sure all of our onions are coming off the side of the pan. And this is one of those 1-pot meals that you can really add a lot of things to. If you don't want to do the couscous later, you could do some kind of pasta, you could do some kind of rice, you could do beans. There's a whole bunch of different things that you're going to do. Now, I have a can of crushed tomatoes that I have put into my measuring cup. I'm going to add that. Make sure. And I'm going to fill this up with 2 cups of water. so that when I go to add my stock in a few minutes, I will have all of the flavors from the tomatoes rinsed out of that cup as well. Give that a little bit of a stir. And then I'm going to add my kale. Now this is going to look like a ton of kale. This is a very large bunch of kale that I have stripped of the stems and I have cut into strips or smaller sections. And I'm going to add the whole bunch. Now this looks like a lot, but kale and spinach do those wonderful things where they wilt down to almost nothing. We're going to add that. We're going to give it a little stir. Start to get it mushing down towards the heat, and it's going to reduce really quickly. It's already gone down by at least a third, and I've just stirred it around a little. We're going to get it all coated in those flavors and let that heat really do the work. Kale is a great way to add a veggie to something simple like a soup to get those veggie counts up for the day while not costing a lot of time or a lot of money. And that has reduced down to barely anything. It's down to the same level as the tomatoes and the sausage and carrots. Okay, so now that that has gotten all wilted down, we're going to start adding our stock. Now I am still using my stock concentrate that I've told you all about and will eventually make a video on. And I'm going to add just about a teaspoon to that, because we do have all of those flavors already in there from the vegetables that are there, the sausage that's there. And then I'm going to pour in my water. And I'm going to add another cup to this. So I've got 3 cups of water total in there. We're going to give that a stir. Get it all talking to each other really well. And I'm going to let this come up to a boil. And once it comes back up to a boil, then I'm going to lower it to a simmer. And I'm going to let it go for a couple of minutes on a simmer before I add my couscous. Okay, so this is now up to a boil. And I realized while I was waiting for it to boil that I left out an ingredient. I'm not going to add salt to this because it already has plenty of salt from that sausage. But I am going to add pepper. So I'm going to add probably a teaspoon-ish of pepper, and we're going to just sprinkle that right on top. Now because this is boiling, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn it down to a simmer. And once I've turned it down to a simmer, I'm going to add my ½ cup of Israeli couscous. Now this is a little bit bigger than the boxed couscous that you might get from Aldi's, so you may have to look around for it a little bit, but we're going to add that, and we're going to give it a nice stir. And that couscous is going to suck up a lot of that moisture. Not all of it. It'll still be a soup. But it is going to suck up a little, kind of like pasta would, or not quite a rice. Okay, and we're going to let that simmer away for about 8 to 10 minutes. Okay, and I'm going to pop my lid on. And I will see you back here in 8 to 10 minutes. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes. My timer has gone off. So let's pull that lid off. Love that steam coming off of that. Put our lid back here. Now, our soup has reduced a little, and that Israeli couscous has plumped up quite a bit. So now it's a little pearl sized. And it looks like I have just the right amount of broth for what I like. You may like a little bit more broth, and that is perfectly fine. If you want to add more broth to it, you can. Okay, we're going to ladle that into our bowl. And then while I was waiting on my soup, I ended up making some cheesy garlic bread with just frozen Texas toast garlic bread, and I added a little bit of mozzarella cheese to it. I'm going to top my soup with some Parmesan cheese, and this is just some shredded Parmesan. I'm going to go right over top of that. And then I'm going to add a piece of my cheesy garlic bread Texas toast. And that is my soup for today. So that's been our video for today. We did that one pot Italian soup with all of those familiar ingredients like the onions and the kielbasa, and then adding new ingredients like the kale and the carrots and the Israeli couscous. It has been a one pot recipe, so easier cleanup for us. Always love an easy cleanup. 2 if you count the tray for the garlic bread, which I don't really count. So thank you for watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing so that we can make more content, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks for watching.